Yeah, I think when you're in that position, you'll do whatever it takes to save the life of your child. And, coming from a business background, it was really interesting to have a problem that was so near and dear to me, but that I couldn't fix. And I could always fix things at work. And if I didn't know how to fix it, I could talk to somebody who knew how to fix it. In this case, we had to talk to other people because we didn't know how to fix our son. And you were the most important thing to us. And we just felt lost and scared and, all different kinds of emotions because we couldn't fix you. And so when somebody said, here, this is going to help fix your family and fix your kid, you need to do these therapy assignments, bring it. So.
I guess the story really started when I was a freshman in high school. The fighting at home turned from passive aggression into, I guess, active aggression. The physical line got broken, and that was when I tried to run away and ended up on a 5150 in a lockdown. It was a weird experience. We weren't allowed to leave our chairs. We were given a chair when we were admitted. All strings and sharps were taken off of our person, and we were placed in our chair, and it reclined into a bed, and aside from the bathroom, you never got out of it. I understand it. It was a safety precaution, but it was strange being confined to a chair. Not a room, but a chair. The second night that I was in the psych ward on the 5150, I was told at something like 3 p.m. that I had been cleared for release and that my parents should be picking me up. I got called in to see the psychiatrist, and I figured this is when they're going to let me out, and I go in there, and there are these 3 guys, and I don't know who any of them are. It was these 2 really big Polynesian guys, and this really stocky Russian guy, just built like tanks.
Nice.
And they said that I was supposed to come with them. And so naturally, my response was, well, show me the paperwork, show me a signature. And they did. They did that.
Nice. The paperwork.
So they told me that I wasn't allowed to know where I was going until we were in the car. Once we got to altitude, you could just see the sun setting still. You could see that stretch of pink across the black night sky. I was looking down California for the last time in who knows how long at a romantic partner that I never got to say my goodbyes with.
Yeah.
The last thing that I said to her for 2 years was, I'll see you tonight. We landed in Vegas. In the parking garage, they handed me off to an off-duty sheriff and his son who transport part-time.
Yeah.
And they drove me hours. We ended up in southern Utah, just outside of a town called Enterprise. It must have been 2 a.m. at that point. And I go in with the transporters, and they handed me off to my new home. I was wrong. I was so wrong. They took all my clothes and gave me new ones, which I was pretty mad about because I wanted to maintain my individuality. But I later became very grateful for because it was really cold outside. Once we got that exchange done, they took my picture and put me in a car, blindfolded me, and just started driving. We drove about 3 hours into the middle of nowhere. It was all dirt roads. There were no houses visible for literally miles. It was dark. There were 3 feet of snow on the ground. And we get out, and they hand me my personal belongings, which at this point are contained in a garbage bag. And this stuff was really heavy. We're talking 65, 70 pounds of stuff. And they had me walk about 3/4 of a mile in Crocs through waist-deep snow with that stuff on my back to get to my camp. It was dirty. We were in a canvas tent, which I later found out was like the Hilton.
How long were you at Red Crescent?
I spent 98 days in the wilderness.
So what did you guys do every day?
We would get up, we would make ourselves breakfast after rekindling the fire off coals that were left over from the night before. We would break down camp until there was no visible trace that there had ever been a camp there. Then we would start hiking. For the first 2/3 of your stay or so, you had to make your backpack out of parachute cord, tarp, and webbing. And that was a skill that took practice. Your first couple of packs were really uncomfortable and they tended to explode. We would hike anywhere from 1.5 miles to 12 miles, just depending on how far we needed to go. Generally along the way, we would find a water source of some kind, whether it was a trough for cows to drink from or a stream. We had sanitizing drops.
How did they flavor the water?
The chlorine tasted awful. We hated the chlorine. The 07 was actually it was pretty transparent. Our favorite was when we would get a good stream with those 7 drops. And we actually preferred the chlorine with the troughs because you don't want to taste what is in those water sources. That was disgusting. And we had this strict routine. So, we had to set up our camp, write in our journals. You were to wash your face and then brush your teeth and get your hygiene checked off. And at that point, once everyone had done that, we were allowed to go to bed. That was the story of every day, though. We just wanted to go to bed. In the wilderness, we had therapy once a week. A therapist would come out and meet with us, usually on Monday. Dave was something. Dave did his job very well. Very smart man. Very good therapist. I did not like him. He was very harsh. He did break me down. That was his objective, was to put me into that space where I could grow up again, and he did it incredibly well, but it wasn't fun to go through it. There were very few sessions with Dave that I did not cry for most of the session.
What did you feel that was for?
At the time, I didn't really see a purpose. I just thought he was mean.
Yeah.
I just thought Doc Dave liked to pick on children, and that's why he was a therapist.
Was he touching on something that needed to be touched on?
I didn't see it, but yeah, what he was doing, he was trying to elicit the problems and the emotional responses that got me sent away in the first place. At Red Cliff, every student was required to bow 14 fires in order to graduate. I ended up being required to bow 100 fires. So most people had to bow 14. I was required to bow 100. It was a therapeutic device that Doc Dave threw in to elicit a response. And at that point, I had a broken hand, so I couldn't bow yet. I was pretty upset. There was a picture of me that got sent back to my parents that just had me almost in tears, looking just desolate, soul crushed, holding up a sign that said 100 fires is a load of crap. I got very, very good at it, so I would bow 25 in a day.
Yeah.
They weren't a problem anymore. There was a special privilege awarded to about 1 in 10 students that went to Red Cliff. And that was, you were awarded with a knife. And it was a huge trust thing. They didn't give it to you unless they really thought you deserved a knife. And I was awarded a knife as well as an earth name. An earth name was something that they awarded to more students, but again, it was something that they would only give it to a student if they believed that you had grown, made an effort to better yourself while you were out there. And I was awarded with the name Blue Crow. It was when I was given this. I was awarded the name Blue Crow because it described me the way they put it. It was blue, which was for friendliness, openness, freedom, but at the same time it can connotate sadness, depression, melancholy, loneliness. And the crow, which is an incredibly intelligent bird, an amazing communicator, but is also often viewed as a trickster or manipulative in a lot of lore. The name really, it symbolized the dualities that people saw in me. Both sides definitely still exist. They probably always will, but that name was a reminder to be conscious of which one I'm showing people. 2 days before you were to graduate, you were put on something called a vision quest. And vision quest was, it wasn't an actual Native American vision quest, although that's what it could have been if it would have been longer and not paid for and in a therapeutic program. You were put off on a solo. You'd done solo before. It was just camping. You'd set up your own camp away from the group, and you weren't allowed to communicate with the group in any way. So I was on the vision quest for a few days, just in my own camp, and just getting to think and reflect and get ready for the fact I knew I wasn't going home next. And on that day, they came out with a truck, and I packed up camp and got in the truck. They didn't blindfold us. That was the time that we didn't get blindfolded. That's what it was. They drove us back to the base camp. We were given a shower. It was the first actual shower that we had gotten, any of us had gotten in, for me, it was, like I said, 98 days. Your first shower in 3 months that is a beautiful experience. Let me tell you what, I could hear the trumpets of heaven. We were told that one by one we were to be called up, and there was this path, and they said, just run down the path. When they called my name, I got up and I started jogging down the path. And I was starting to slow down because I've been running for a while. I don't know where this is going. And then I come around a corner and I can see my parents who I haven't seen in months standing in front of me. And I just kicked it right back up into overdrive. And I just kept running And when I got to them, we hugged. I mean, it was reuniting a family that the last time we saw each other was a physical fight and them calling the police. And this was us getting to see each other again after going through therapy and having a mediator and writing letters to each other and me opening up. It was getting the family put back together for the first time.
Yeah, I feel great. I'm incredibly proud of you, Trevor. You have walked a path that many people 4 times your age haven't walked, and the things you have done in your short life are amazing to me, and the progress that you've made. And when I think about how close we came to losing you, just
One of the things that I really wanted to make clear was, unlike some of these other boys, the way they felt, I had to tell them, especially during the goodbye group and any other chance I got, that a lot of the parents don't send you to treatment to get rid of you.
absolutely.
They send you to treatment to get you back. Okay, so I'm here getting therapy, and my parents are out playing golf and
Right.
taking
Going on vacations and
enjoying life. And it's not necessarily that way.
absolutely not. When he was in the wilderness, we didn't have any contact with him except letters. And every Wednesday, Doc Dave would call us and tell us how our son was doing. And we would sit around from Thursday till Wednesday morning waiting to talk to Doc Dave again. And then we'd talk to him, and then we'd wait
Get
around.
pictures.
See, that's funny because I would wait around from Monday to Monday for Doc Dave to leave again so that I could not be talking to him.
That is kind of funny. 2 different sides of Doc Dave.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, because my happiest moment was he was in the car driving away, and I was like, "Bye, Dave."